Hi everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Kendra, and this is Kendra Full of Joy. I have something to do today on Tea Tuesday, and Tea Tuesday is hosted by Life with Patty and Kathy's Favorite Things. And so this is a prompt that Life with Patty gave yesterday. Well, I saw it yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And it's, how old are you? If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you visited before and not yet subscribed, I would love it if you did. Also, feel free to press the like button or give a thumbs up. And that's the same thing, isn't it? Make a comment. That's the other thing. Anyway, I wrote these down because I'm terrible with my memory anymore. Also, I look like I've got a black eye almost. Well, it looks terrible, and I believe it's from my glaucoma drops. I have an appointment in about 3 weeks, and I'm going to tell them, I think maybe my, what's it called? Latanoprost? I don't know. It's for glaucoma, and it's messing with my eyes. Not the eyes themselves, but the eyelid. Okay, so how old are you at Life with Patty? And so we're supposed to talk about things that we remember that are no more, and things that you remember if you're older will be even older. So the first thing, wrote down, telephone. There were no perks, no call waiting, no messaging service. You just made a call, and if you were on the phone, everybody got a tone that sounded like dee, 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 like that. And so if you had, a pack of girls in the house, well, back in my day, we didn't have our own phones to type on. We didn't have, the internet. So we communicated by telephone. And, teenage girls have a lot to say. Or we wrote notes. We wrote epic notes that were like booklets, folded them special and all of that. Anyway, if you had an emergency, you dialed 0. There was no 911. Okay, so I was born in 61. And up until the 70s, I think the 70s is when I first heard of 911, and it was later in the 70s. But anyway, you dialed 0 for the operator, and the operator would connect you with the fire department or the police department. There was no 911. What is your emergency? It was operator. And you could ask the operator to look up a phone number for you, live, a person. I never talked to a man as an operator until much, much later. That live woman would say, you want the Smith residence on 1st Street? Here you go. Here's that number. No recordings at all. It was all live. And she'd tell you the number, and if you tell it back to her, if you thought maybe you didn't get it, need to say thank you. So my first answering machine that I got was in the 80s, and it was a tiny cassette tape that went in a little black box that sat on the table next to the desktop landline. By the way, we just this week removed our landline. We're probably one of the last to do it. We have no more landline here, just our cell phones. So anyway, this tiny cassette, would keep track of your tapes, of who called you and wanted to leave a message. It would get full, you'd flip it over, and you'd do it again. So, laundry soap. Laundry soap was powder. We didn't have jugs of liquid. We had giant cardboard boxes of powder. And some of the brands put goodies inside, like towels, folded up towels, like dishcloths, dish towels, and dishes. You could get like a glass, or, they would all match the sets of glasses. You wouldn't get a random glass, but, freebies like that were kind of cool, and that would keep you buying their brand. So discount stores. So in Oklahoma, where I was very young, there were TG&Ys. And then here on the West Coast, there were Ben Franklin stores. I think there are maybe some still around. Anyway, these discount stores would have an actual kiddie pool at the back of the store swarming with tiny turtles, live turtles. So you could buy this turtle for I don't know what it was, like under $1, and take it home. You could also buy a little habitat for it. They were plastic round dishes with a raised part in the middle of this plastic dish, like an island, and a little plastic palm tree would be stuck in there. And I remember my mom buying the first turtle we had. They don't last long, kind of like goldfish and kids, And she would feed this turtle, you know, various things. Okay, so they don't do that anymore because they found that those little turtles were great at spreading salmonella. So there were pet stores everywhere, and we don't have pet stores here in our town anymore. Well, okay, if you want to call a store that has goldfish, we do have 2 stores that sell goldfish and tropical fish. But they mainly sell pet food, toys, leashes, dishes, beds, that kind of thing. Okay, so you could get puppies and kittens, and some of those earlier pet stores, have I been saying toy stores? I meant pet stores. They sold monkeys, squirrel monkeys, and they were every bit monkey. Did you guys hear the thing on the news? I think it was up here. It may have been in another state. A guy had a pet monkey, rolled up to Starbucks window. He had ordered something, rolled up Starbucks window. His monkey jumped out, and it wasn't like a big chimp, eat your face. It was a little monkey. But it jumped out of his front seat straight through the Starbucks window where they were going to hand the coffee out and latched on to the person, it was male, who was, going to hand the coffee out and bit him. So I'm thinking, he's okay. The other employees, and I quote, peeled the monkey off of the man and tossed it back to the guy. Anyway, I'm thinking that he had been getting pup cups there. What do you think? And he knew that guy in there had his pup cup, and he was kind of late with it. I don't know. I mean, not funny that the guy got bit. That was tragic. And so I guess Starbucks came out with a new rule yesterday. No more monkeys inside or outside of Starbucks. And that you have to even make that rule, Anyway, pet stores had puppies, kittens, and monkeys. And we don't have monkeys at pet stores around here anymore, I don't think. You could get them out of the back of magazines, too. You could, and I don't mean sea monkeys. I mean squirrel monkeys for $20 out of the back of magazines. Okay. On weekends, there would be kids in front of grocery stores or in summertime with boxes of puppies or kittens that they would give away. That's not allowed anymore here. I don't know how it is, like in the South or in the Northeast, but in the Pacific Northwest, they're really, really strict about how animals transfer hands. What a mess they are. Yes, they are. I know, people want your animals to be spayed and neutered, and this is one of the ways that I think that they're letting people know that that's what you want to do because your kid's not going to be able to get rid of these on the weekend. Okay. Banks used to give away, when you opened a new account, small appliances. You could get a coffee maker, or you could get a toaster, and then later on, as far as, it was like after the year 2000, I remember the local bank in the grocery store was giving grocery store coupons, like vouchers or whatever, for $25. Open an account, get a $25 voucher. And they stopped doing that. I don't know why. Okay, nothing here. So, back in the day, ambulances, and I'm talking about the 60s, ambulances were basically tricked out station wagons. They would scoop and deliver with less technology than the average smartwatch that you have now. They didn't carry big testing things like, they could give you what they'd learned, probably with being medics in the military. They could stop blood loss maybe with tourniquets. They could do a little of whatever version of CPR they had back then. Boy, the CPR they had for babies back in the day, wow, not the best. It is good now, though. So the first microwave that I had was in 1981, and we had to put it on layaway. Yes, we did. It was a big girl, too. It took up about half of my counter space, but I was glad to have it. So for television, we had basic channels: CBS, ABC, NBC, and PBS, which is, public broadcasting. And the TV went off after Johnny Carson went off. Johnny Carson was over, and then they would run a prayer and the Lord's Prayer and the national anthem, and they would show a flag whipping in the wind, and then it would go. And I don't know if it was like this all over the country. The test pattern in Oklahoma was like an Indian chief in a circle, and then it would play this tone. It would go, brrr, and of course you would turn that off. No sound, no nothing. You could go to McDonald's with $1 in the 70s and get a burger, fries, and a drink and get change back. Yeah. Believe it or not, you could smoke a pipe, a cigar, or a cigarette in restaurants, on airplanes, in grocery stores. There just weren't issues with smoking because they didn't know enough, I guess, about secondhand smoke and air pollution. So nobody pumped their own gas at the gas stations. Nobody. You'd drive up and your tires would roll over this hose, and this hose would go ding, 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 ding twice, real loud, because there'd be two sets of hoses. And at that point, there would run probably two people, at least one, but usually two, would run out and they would pump your gas, check your oil, check your water, check the air in your tires, wash your windows. Can you believe that? And then they would charge you what, under $1 a gallon. It was pretty cheap. And they wore uniforms. And some of the gas stations would give you, if you got a fill up, you're filled up with gas, a whole tank full, they'd give you toys or dishes, like glasses and dish sets. I had, this is from the 60s, a Sinclair, I believe, I might be wrong about the name of the gas station, plastic green dinosaur bank. Yes, I did. And I liked that thing. I don't know where it went. So what else do we have? I'm going through this faster than I thought I would. You guys are lucky. Make sure I didn't miss. Oh, yep. One more page here. So, danger. We all baby oil tanned. We would get out in the sun, at noonday when it would be the hottest and the most strong, and we would put baby oil on. Some people put iodine in it. It was like a fake and bake, but they would actually lay in the sun with the baby oil. And we put Sun-In in our hair. And Sun-In was bleach activated by the sun. Do you remember Click Clacks if you're my age? Or even maybe a little bit older? They came out mostly in the 70s, I think. I want to say it was 1970 to 72 that I remember them. It was a long string with two hard plastic, heavy rocks on the end, smooth marbles, like giant marbles. That's what they were like. And you could get these things clacking against one another. And it was great until you hit yourself in the forehead or the arm. People would have bruises all over their bodies, and everybody wanted one. They came in beautiful colors, in green and blue and red, So, who had a helmet? I sure did not in the 60s. My first bike was a red steel. There was no aluminum. Everything was steel. It weighed about probably more than I did for sure. So when it tipped over, I tipped over. There was no holding it up, and I had no helmet. I broke my arm. My first arm break was on that red hard bicycle. You know how people will take trimmers and trim along the edge of the sidewalk in their yard? I scooted over too far, got my tire stuck in that rut there between the sidewalk and their lawn, and everybody did that. It was manicured lawns. And my wheel just went whoop, 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 and I flipped off, and my bike landed on me, and I broke my arm. Yay! Who wore a seatbelt in the 60s? Not us. We did not. There was just no, cars were bigger then too, and I think they were made, again, like the bicycles, they were made out of a harder material, but still, if you hit something going fast, you are a projectile in the car, no matter what the car is made out of. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So baby car seats were thin, if you had one, were thin plastic with no actual tether to the car. They were sort of like just a prop, a sit and prop kind of thing. And they would ride in the front seat between mother and father or whoever was driving, and that's how it went. And, the way that seatbelts worked back then was your mother's arm flew across you if she thought she was going to stop hard. Anyway, my first baby, born in 1977, placed in my arms in the front seat to go home from the hospital. That's how they did it. They made us ride down from the hospital room to the street in front of the hospital. Back then they had in this particular town, in this particular time, there wasn't a garage for cars to park under or above. You came along and you parked on the street. So if you were going to pick up your wife or whatever, the mother, you would you would go get your car from wherever you parked along the street and just come up to the front steps of the hospital. Oh, those were some long, long steps too, straight up. And I'll always remember being in labor because I was in hard labor by the time I decided I'd go ahead and go and try to get up those steps. And I said to my ex-husband, "Is it okay if I stop for a minute for a contraction?" I was so meek. I'd be like, "You go on, I'll be along shortly." Anyway, that is my "How old are you?" And I could have written things forever and a day because there's so much that's different now. Again, I'm real sorry about this view. I just don't want to, yeah. Anyway, take care, everybody. Don't forget, subscribe. And I would love to hear, how old are you? And don't tell me how old you are if you don't want to, but tell me things that you remember that you don't have now. One more thing. When I got here, it was 1979. I'm in Washington State. And it was July 1979. And I was so upset because I had not lived in such a small town. And it was trees and bees is what I said to my mom when I called. I said, "If I open the door, let me tell you this. I can't count the number of trees. There's more trees than I can count. It's the forest. I want to come home." Anyway, I'm going to stop now. 17:54. Okay, I'm sorry for keeping you so long. Bye, everybody.